Hello and welcome on Watches TV for our special series dedicated to the upcoming auctions and watch events. And we know that there will be many of them in the coming weeks, so we will be mixing some classical and some new formats of our videos to give you the complete picture. And today, where we will focus on the first auction from Ineichen, Complications, Skeletons and Tourbillons, which will take place in Zurich on October the 29th. So if you remember, this May Ineichen hosted another themed auction dedicated to the 50th anniversary of the iconic Royal Oak, and it was a big success. Almost all lots were sold way beyond their estimates, and we hope that it will be the same for the timepieces in front of me. And I must say that it's always a pure pleasure being able to have such a dense selection to share with you, and for me to play around with, if I can say so, a nice perk to what I do. But before diving into this selection, just wanted to mention that for those entering the world of watchmaking, well, this could be a nice opportunity to get your hands on some meaningful timepieces at a pretty reasonable price, okay? I know we're talking serious money, but if you're considering how much you would need to pay for today's equivalent, well, this can be an interesting option. And during auctions, well, we generally only see the performance of some totally unattainable vintage timepieces, but here we're in some kind of middle ground and could be a good entry point into serious watchmaking. So let's go back to these pieces, and I know that most of you are probably well aware of what tourbillons and skeletons are, but to refresh your memory and maybe to help our new subscriber, hello and thanks for you guys for being with us, as well for those who just started to discover this truly amazing and beloved world of watchmaking. Well, a tourbillon is a complex regulating mechanism whose role is to defeat the impact of gravity on the chronometrical performance of your timepiece. And by skeletonization, we're talking about a craft where the watchmaker will hollow out as much material as possible, which will beautifully highlight elements of the movement. So with the first one, we're talking functional reasons, and for the second one, we're talking more about general aesthetics. And well, when you combine the two, then it gets even better, and we have a few examples here. And I would be glad to talk about it for hours, but we have a lot to see in this video, and if you want to learn more, I invite you to read the article from horopedia.org, in which you can find how a tourbillon works and who invented it. The link is under this video, and don't hesitate to contact us if you have other questions, of course. So let's start, as we pre-selected some lots from this auction, each of them being beautiful technical marvels. So first will be lot number 7, and it is a Platinum Breguet Classique tourbillon. I don't know about you, but I like the soft, shimmery white color of the case, which contrasts with the brighter color of the engine-turned solid gold and silver dial. Traditionally, such dials are made from silver because it is more robust and nicely suited for engraving, and the handcrafted guilloche pattern is one of the unmistakable hallmarks of a Breguet watch. And if you take a closer look, well, you find a tiny secret signature between 11 and 12 and 12 and 1. And back in the 18th century, 19th century, it served as an innovative copyright solution to protect watches from being from counterfeiters. But nowadays it has become more kind of a design feature. The reverse side has also some interesting parts with its handmade intricate engraving. The caliber of this watch was originally invented by another famous watchmaker, Mr. Daniel Roth, who worked with the brand in the 70s, 80s. But what makes this beautiful watch stand out and be a true collectible is that this particular model has no B-shaped second hands. Plus, the double folding clasp that you have here is also made out of platinum, and the estimate for this watch is set between 20 to 30,000 Swiss francs. I think final price might be a little bit higher, but nevertheless, a really, really nice and classical timepiece. Next comes lot number 12, the Vacheron Constantin Tourbillon, also in platinum with an original platinum pin buckle. And this particular model has a nice peachy shade of white silvered engine-turned dial with a caliber 1760. Moreover, the Les Complications Tourbillon 350 was the first Vacheron Constantin wristwatch with a tourbillon. Its production was discontinued in 2000, and according to different sources, well, there were approximately 300 pieces made. The estimate of this watch is between 30 and 40,000 Swiss francs, but assuming the rarity of this piece, it could easily go a little bit higher. Very nice, elegant, will always look good. Okay, next watch with lot number 15. and this Jaeger-LeCoultre Master Perpetual in rose gold with 8 days of power reserve. So the skeletonized dials is technically impeccable with 5 sub-dials for day, date, month, year and day-night indication. And the cool thing here is this little digital display that apparently can go up to 99 years, which is quite rare. Another interesting feature here is the yellow colored screws. More often we see blue colored screws heated at 290, 300 degrees to get this specific shade of blue. But here, these yellow-colored steel screws were heated at a lower temperature of around 230, 240 degrees and have almost the same color as the case itself. And you have an original double deployment clasp, which is also made of rose gold, but the alligator strap maybe is a little bit disappointing because, as you can see, we can see that it was machine-made and not handmade. So this watch is one of the limited series of 170 pieces and has an estimate of 20 to 30,000 Swiss francs. Okay, we will continue with Jaeger-LeCoultre and let's have a look at lot number 16 and its rose gold master minute repeater. And the brand has been making repeater watches since the late 19th century and mastered them to perfection, but obviously these were pocket watches at the time. So this particular piece is a very rare limited edition launched in 2008 to commemorate the brand's 175th anniversary. And my geeky side noticed as one of its interesting features is the thermally blued steel screws, which are, unlike yellowish colored mentioned before, harder and require higher heating temperatures. So on the more technical side, this caliber 947 has a double barrel which grants a power reserve of up to 15 days. That's a lot. And thanks to the speed of the regulator position at 7 o'clock, the sound of the watch is extremely pure. It is produced by the new patented at the time system of so-called crystal gongs attached not to the main plate or case as more traditionally, but directly to the sapphire crystal. And the estimate of this piece is between 30 and 40,000 Swiss francs, which is, you know, this is something pretty serious. And let's listen to it. So moving on to the next two lots, number 19 and 20, both are one-of-a-kind watches from Cartier. Number 19 is a Tank Louis Cartier skeleton, a very beautiful platinum piece, custom-made for a private client back in 2007. The client himself made the design, which features the sophisticated pattern of the open-work bridges and main plate. It reminds me of Cartier's famous Garland style, representing the very spirit of the early 1900s and maybe even the roaring 20s. And the Tank Louis Cartier skeleton is one of the late timepieces of the famous and highly collectible collection privée Cartier Paris, known also as CPCP, which was introduced by the brand in 1998. So watches from this series were equipped with modern mechanical movements, and this timepiece uses caliber 9710 MC, which is a customized and skeletonized Piaget caliber 430p movement blank with an extremely rare relief pattern with vertical stripes. So the estimate for this lot is between 20 to 30K, but I think such a unique watch could cost a little bit more. We'll see. Okay, and this is number lot 20, Cartier Rotonde skeleton, custom made as well, and a one-of-a-kind watch from Collection Privée Cartier Paris. It uses the caliber 9610 MC and has a double barrel, which gives it a power reserve of up to 70 hours. And apart from its intricate design and modern aesthetic, this beauty has its hidden secret. So one of them can be seen at the back, and it is this small screw of the transmission wheel. And if you have a closer look, you can see that it has 3 slots. The magic behind it is that in most cases, the screws in the watch are positioned to be screwed clockwise and unscrewed anti-clockwise. And here we have a reserve example made for a mechanical reason to ensure the mechanism smooth works. Plus the alligator strap here is obviously handmade, as you can see, same color back and forth. Okay, let's continue. All right, now we go to this. I mean, this is a pretty crazy piece, and one which made a lot of noise at the time of its release. This is the vintage 1945 Jackpot Tourbillon by Girard-Perregaux, and you do need a good wrist for this one. I mean, it's quite bold in terms of size, weight, and what you find inside. It features an open heart tourbillon, a 1-minute tourbillon in fact, and a slot machine position at 12 o'clock. And this one is operated by a lever on the right side of the case, and you get a nice little chiming sign when each figure stops. Pretty sweet, huh? And I love the way these barrels spins. So this watch comes from the model presented by GP at the SHH in 2007, and currently some online retailers, brokers propose it for 400K, which shows that it is renowned among collectors. And when it came out, it costed way more than $500,000, and between 20 to 30 pieces were sold. However, the estimate for this lot from Ineichen is between 80 and 100K, which might be a little bit more accurate, to be honest. So almost the same model, but in white gold, was sold in 2016 at Christie's for $173,000 US. And I don't expect the price to exceed this number in Zurich, but it is really something absolutely crazy. So coming back to its design, the jackpot features the brand's remarkable golden bridge tourbillon, and a slot machine mechanism inspired by the Liberty Bell, the slot machine invented at the end of the 19th century. So some kind of nice tribute to the glamorous side of gambling. And well, you will definitely not go unnoticed with such a piece. And just to stay with the theme of casino-inspired timepieces, let's have a look at the lot number 44, which is a Gérald Genta Arena Tourbillon Perpetual calendar. And I like the striking resemblance of the roulette on its dial, as well as the overall bold look of this timepiece, something very characteristic of the father of the Nautilus and Royal Oak. It somehow reminds me of the James Bond movies and Casino Royale in particular. And this black time indication ring with white marks and red hour markers is quite unique. So in terms of functions or indications, you have a central minute and hour hands. At 6 o'clock you have the date indication with the leap year indicator, and at 9 and 3 o'clock you will find the days and the month indication, and a nice power reserve at 12 o'clock. So the fluted caseback of this watch is made out of palladium, quite rare, and while the bezel and rim of the caseback are made out of platinum, two of the most expensive metals in the world currently. So I would say it's a lot of money on your wrist and you feel it, but it doesn't look like that, which is quite nice. I like the subtle element of it. So this Arena tourbillon uses the caliber GG12110, which was developed by Gérald Genta to use in automatic Grande Sonnerie models. And the Perpetual calendar module was customized from the module developed in the late 80s and early 90s by Daniel Roth, in collaboration actually with Philippe Dufour. So the other two stars of the constellation of the watchmaking geniuses. So in my opinion, this Arena tourbillon Perpetual calendar should end up in the possession of an avid watch collector, not only because of its technical endeavor, but also because of the amount of history that comes with it. So, back to another dimension of technical audacity with lot number 41 with the MB&F Legacy Machine Perpetual Calendar. And you guys probably know that this is one of my grail watch. So just a quick reminder, this timepiece was originally launched in 2015 and is based on a new type of Perpetual calendar developed by a Northern Irish watchmaker and movement designer Stephen McDonald. So unlike the traditional Perpetual calendar, which calculates the length of the month based on the length of the longest month, meaning 31 days. So McDonald took the opposite, took 28 days as the base duration, and MB&F actually won the GPHG in the calendar category with it back then. So typically a Perpetual calendar caliber has more or less 200 parts, but this McDonald's Perpetual calendar, as this one, holds 581 components. But beside this complexity, one of the particularity of this movement is that it's totally reliable, which sometimes can be a weakness of QP movements. Here you can't damage the movement by setting up the date. It's totally sturdy. And finally, and I know the theme of the auction is tourbillon and skeletons, but this piece is a bit different and more on the open work side of things. Let you see really nicely this intricate movement, and you can actually look at it for hours. So the estimate for this timepiece is between 80 and 100K, and well, of course, for me, I think it's totally worth it, but of course, I'm a little bit not so objective. And last but not least is lot number 45, which is a Meteorite Tourbillon by Antoine Presusio, a Swiss watchmaker of Italian origin, who started his career at Patek Philippe before creating his own brand in the 90s. In 2015, the brand Antonio Presusio had a double victory at the Grand Prix d'Horlogerie de Genève with its Tourbillon watch as the best in the innovation category, also taking the public prize actually. And Presusio himself invented the triple tourbillon, which became the most recognizable wristwatch of the brand. So the model that we have here is not the triple tourbillon, but nevertheless features a nice little tourbillon here that you can see at 6 o'clock with a very nice bridge. But it is made out of meteorite metal, and I'm not talking about the dial, which we use to see in some other watches. So here the particularity is that the whole case is made out from a single piece of meteoric iron plus the buckle. It is a fragment of the famous meteorite with an almost unpronounceable name, Muonialalusta or something like that, that was originally discovered in 1906 on the border between Sweden and Finland. It is most probably the oldest known meteorite, age 4.5 billion years, and since landing on the Earth, well, it has experienced 4 ice ages. So scientists think that it was a part of a planetoid, so you will be wearing a part of another planet on your wrist, which is, philosophically quite interesting. So the watch uses the AP/T21 caliber, decorated with 4 chatons attached with screws, and the shooting star on the case back are diamonds. So interesting to mention that this is a unique piece, and it was originally made for the inaugural Only Watch charity auction. It was sold in 2005 for around 20,000 euro, which was half of its estimate. Yeah, those were other times. But now Ineichen decided to play safe with the estimate of 15 to 20,000. So let's see if the historical and scientific side outsmarts the technical ones. We'll see. Well, that's all for now. There are, of course, other lots from independent brands like Daniel Roth, De Bethune, Urwerk, and Constantin Shaking. So if you want more details or to see other pieces, I recommend you to go and check Ineichen's website. And for those who missed it, well, the auction is on October 29th. And then, as I mentioned in the intro, and I do know that we're talking obviously quite a lot of money, but considering these pieces' complexity, well, it's still a very interesting way of getting into serious high-end watchmaking. So this is it. So thanks a lot for watching, and a massive Viva watchmaking to you. See you soon.